Hello everyone, my name is Vishnu. I am going to tell you what is useReducer. So useReducer is a React hook which is used in the place of useState. So here we are going to try to understand what is the need of the useReducer because we have a use state already. We can use state to changing the state, but when you are using use state, you realize that if you have a multiple state and one state is depending on another state, so at there the code is become very complicated. So for that, reducing a code in short, and the reducing also the complexity, easy to read for understanding, we use reducer. So here we are going to trying to understand how use reducer work and what is the syntax of the use reducer. For that, I am using a counter. A count is 0 initially. We can, on clicking the add, it will increase. On reducing, it will reduce. Okay. So we are trying to understand how it will work. So let's move to the code. Here I created a component called counter. I am using code sandbox for easy to writing purpose. I just created a component counter and I imported it inside the app.js. Okay. I am reducing this for right now. Okay. Now I move to the or counter page. So for using that, you can see here I take two things. I created a counter function. The syntax, it is exactly much more similar to the use state. Const taking a count, it will take the our initial value of the count and dispatch. Here we can easily dispatching the value, which value we need to provide next in that. Instead of use state, where in use state using a count, set count. Instead of set count, we are using a dispatch and using a use reducer hook. Inside reducer, we are passing a function and the initial state. These two things we are passing here. So we passes here a reducer function and the initial state 0. Now my initial state is 0. It will take the count value, or initial count value is 0. It is taking a count 0. Okay. And now you can see here I provided a h1 tag counter inside count. You can say it will show the count 0. And after that, you can see here I use a two button, one button for add, one button for reduce. Here you can see here I am dispatching two things. What is, I am normally use a callback function. Inside callback function, I use dispatch. Inside dispatch, I use object. Inside object, the type is add and the payload is 1. So what is its mean? Type means I am providing which type of action it needs to perform. I am providing a variable add. You can provide any variable name, add, subtract, whichever you want to, you can provide. And the payload is 1. It will take value as a 1. Whatever operation in the add have to perform, it will take payload as a 1. Okay, similarly, for the dispatch, we are using whatever the type reduce, payload is 1. So now moving to the, this all action will perform under the reducer function. So move to the reducer function. What is reducer function? Here you can see here, this is my reducer function. I written here my reducer function. Inside reducer function, I take two things, state and action. State is current state and action is which needs to be performed. Switch is the case. Multiple cases if we have to write, we are using switch case, we already know. For that, in switch case, action dot type. Whatever action dot type is, suppose we use multiple cases. Case 1 is add, case 2 is reduce, and the last one is very important, default. We have to always use default. In default, we have to state whatever state is current, it will state. If there is nothing is provided in action or anything. So I am providing here case add. This is the syntax. So what they have to perform, state equal to state plus action dot payload. and reduce is equal to state minus action dot payload. Whatever the value inside the action dot payload, here I provided a value 1, it will take 1, and the reduce we provided a 1, so it will take 1. So it have to add and it have to reduce. So on clicking on add, it will add. For reduce, it will reduce. You can see here. Okay. If I suppose I want I add by 2, then I have to just change the payload. Change the payload by 2, and I want to reduce by 1. So now you can see here on adding, it will add by 2. On reducing, it will reduce by 1. So in this, the code is quite simpler and easy to understand, and we can easily modify every time whenever we need. We can modify it very easily, and we can use another places also. The where no need to use any other state or anything. We can use just a on click provide type add, and we can provide a payload whatever I want to payload. So nothing not to use of multiple state right now. We can handle with the user state with the help of useReducer state. So that's all about it, use reducer. Thank you very much.